Oh, hi. Yeah, I am a super ager. And today we are going to talk about superfoods for super ages like me, 88 years old, and that energy is starting to wane. So let's talk about some good things that we can do to keep our energy up and to keep that fatigue away and to keep going. Ah, yes. You've seen these robes before. Moosey and I have had these robes for about 20 years, and I just love them. So, okay, it's a bit hot here in today. I'm gonna just take this off, and we'll just talk. I don't need to wear a robe to know that I am super aging, but because of the fact that I am beginning to feel my age in the energy department, I would say probably the last 6 months, a little bit longer, yes, I've started to slow down a bit. My legs are not as strong as they are. I can't walk as far. I do get winded a little easier. Now, there's probably many reasons for it. Number one, that obviously this is probably a natural thing. I know I have always tended to do more than probably what I should. And sometimes I do push myself only because I have to. As you know, I am a caretaker to Moosey. And when things go wrong around here, I'm trying to do them myself. But lately, I've been getting a lot of help from the grandkids. And you know what? We reward them. And at the same time, just being with these kids is great. Well, today, I have set out an array of foods. Because of my predicament, I have been doing a lot of research lately on how I can help myself in the field of longevity. Moosey and I are both 88, as I said, and if we're going to be here for a couple of more years, I want to try and be in the best health that I can. Now, as you know, I am a diabetic, but I do see the doctor regularly. I have regular blood work done. And I do all the things health-wise with the doctor that I'm supposed to do. I do watch everything. And I know that number one, water is the most essential food, I'm gonna call it a food, of all. And I've learned my lesson this past year by twice having to go to the emergency room in an ambulance, believe it or not. I've never done that before because I was affected with being dehydrated down to the cell level. I didn't realize that's what was wrong with me. But in the meantime, I can't tell you how many people I've heard about that this has happened to. We don't always recognize that. So do drink your water, ladies. I know a lot of you has said you have learned that. I never was a big water drinker. But one thing that I have done that I am so proud of, and I can't believe that I did it. All my life, I have been drinking diet sodas because I don't drink alcohol, and I just love the diet sodas. I don't drink a lot of them, but with a meal or in the day or whatever, I would always have a diet soda of some kind. Mostly it was Diet Squirt, although sometimes I love a Diet Coke or whatever. But I have given those up because I am trying to, and it's working. You know, they say that you can form habits. And one of the reasons that I never drank was because I never encouraged the habit of liking beer or any kind of I never gave it time to enjoy it. So why drink it? Well, the same with water. I never enjoyed drinking water. And now I realize the importance of it and have been slugging it like crazy. In the beginning, I would put a little bit of my Diet Squirt in or a little bit of lemon juice or what. But the longer that I've been doing this, believe it or not, I am starting to enjoy water. Who knew? So now I don't even buy soda. Now Moosey still drinks diet soda. So before I begin, I will take a swig. Now, you know, I have talked about my morning routine, and that's something that I will go over quickly because I think that's important. 5 things to do the minute that you wake up in the morning, and a lot of you have started to do them. So that's what I'll begin with. So the first things that you should do as an aging adult in the morning, the minute that you get up, go to the bathroom, of course, is to drink water. Not ice cold water, but warm water. They say drink at least a cup, or if you can, a bottle. And I do that between getting out of my bed and getting into the kitchen. Then, after you do that, you want to try and limber up. And I've shown you some of these exercises that I do at my counter here. I do little squats because I can't do big ones. I can't go down. But the more you do this, the further down you can go. I do some stretching by leaning forward. I do things with my arms. Getting your arms up over your head is supposed to be excellent, and lowering them, I can't bring them down the right way here because of this. But exercises just to limber up your body and to get things working. A couple of minutes, 5 minutes will do it. Then you're supposed to go outside and to get the natural light. And at that time, you might want to do some meditating. So whether it's sunny or what, and no matter what time you wake up, whether it's 7, which is probably a lovely time to get up because the sun is just rising, sometimes even earlier, or later if you're a late sleeper, go outside, look at your garden, walk around, and just enjoy nature and try and meditate, thinking good, positive thoughts. Then you might come in and you might have something to drink or eat. Now, as you know, I every single morning put 2 scoops of collagen, vital proteins, collagen peptides in my coffee. So I've waited now and I've not had my coffee yet. But do you know that 2 scoops of collagen in your coffee is 20 to 25 grams of protein? So you're getting some protein right off the bat in your coffee. Sometimes I'll get it with my cottage cheese in the morning, or maybe with an egg. Sometimes I will take 4 or 5 eggs and I will scramble them lightly with some cottage cheese in it. It's my new way of making eggs. And I'll serve them for Moosey and I. So we're getting protein there. Sometimes the cottage cheese is protein. Another one that I love in the morning, you know my morning routine. I have to get out my jar of artichokes, marinated artichokes. I'll have some of those. Sometimes I'll have my broccoli florets dipped in my dill dish. So I'm having that. Sometimes I'll have herring on a cracker, or I might have, what's one of my other ones? Oh, sardines. As a matter of fact, I've pulled out a bunch of sardines here to show you. Many of you like sardines. Honestly, they're very delicious. You can have them alone, or you can have them on saltines or Ritz crackers or something. So that's sort of my morning routine. Sometimes if I want to do some cooking in the morning, I'll make those little egg cups in the muffin tins, and I'll put peppers or onions and whatever I have around from the garden in there. You could put a little bit of meats or ham or something you might have left over, a little bit of salmon. Those are delicious, and Moosey loves those too. So those are things you want to do in the morning before 30 minutes is up. That only takes 30 minutes, that little routine. And it's a good one to start with. By then you've had some protein to get yourself going, and you should be ready for the day. Now, in my research that I've been doing, my reading, I spend a lot of time looking things up when I'm very curious. And as I say, Google is my best friend. I've become much smarter as I have gotten older because of my curiosity. And by the way, that's a good thing for your brain. I forgot to mention berries as a wonderful morning fruit. Do you know berries are brain food, especially blueberries? And you can put blueberries in anything, in a smoothie, a handful of spinach. That's another drink you can have in the morning to get yourself going. There's so many things that you can have. I love my avocados in the morning with a little bit of French dressing in the middle. Certain things, I'm a funny breakfast eater. If I eat breakfast at all, sometimes it might be late. However, now we're going to talk about some superfoods. So I started looking up what are the best foods, the superfoods for super agers. Now, I classify myself as a super ager mainly because I'm in my late 80s. Many of you can be super agers too if you want to, even in your 70s. Do you want to join the club? So there are so many super ager foods. And no matter what you read, people will mention some different things, but most always certain foods will be on everyone's list. And let me tell you what they are. I'll say 1, 2, 3, but you know, it's not necessarily going to be in that order. We'll start with salmon. Everybody knows salmon is a superfood. And by the way, I have some right here. Moosey and I are having salmon fillets. They're frozen. I just took them out of the freezer. And we will be having salmon fillets for supper tonight. I will serve them with some kale or green beans or something like that, or some kind of a salad, probably throw in some tomatoes, and maybe at the same time rice. Now, rice is not necessarily good for my diabetes. Certain rices are, but I don't usually like them. Moosey loves some mashed potatoes. A sweet potato might be very good with this because a sweet potato is good for you. It's one of the superfoods. So salmon. Okay, we've got that as a superfood. Another superfood is avocados. Now, those of you who don't live in California, and where's my avocado? When we had our family home here in Southern California, we had a little bit of acreage, and across the back of the property, we had 5 or more full-grown avocado trees. And I tell you, it's the first time that I ever had an avocado, and that was in 1972. Shortly after we moved into that house, I became pregnant with Mikey, who is our 5th child. We still had one more to go, Colleen. But at the time, I had a housekeeper helping me because I was doing some substituting and getting ready to go back and teach because the other kids were all in school. And she, of course, loved avocados. She was a lovely Mexican. She was like a grandma to me, or like a mom, actually. And my mom and dad were back east. And she started making avocado sandwiches and picking the avocados every day. And I adored them. Right off the bat, I took 2 avocados. And I don't know whether I mentioned this. I was telling somebody the other day, but I had them all during my pregnancy with Mikey. 1 or 2 avocado sandwiches. I had avocados all the time, mainly because Kika loved them and she was just putting them in everything. My Mikey weighed almost 12 pounds and he was 26.5 inches long. Now Mikey right now is 6'5" or 6'6", and always was a large child. In fact, nobody believes me, but when my Mikey was 6 months old, he was 36 pounds, not necessarily a big fat baby, but he was long and just beautiful, beautiful baby. So was it the avocados? Who knows? And by the way, I lost my weight right away. I didn't keep that weight on. So avocado, superfood. And those of you who live back east or other places, try them. You know, they're getting a little bit expensive. And we do have some neighbors from back in the old neighborhood that do every once in a while give us some. Now, some of these, the Haas avocado, I believe it is, it's not the Fuerte, I think it's the Haas, was first grown right here in a neighboring town where we live, La Habra Heights, California. And that's where the California avocado came from. Okay, so we have now salmon, avocados, nuts and seeds, a handful of nuts a day, the almonds, the walnuts, the pistachios, any of those nuts are so good for you, a superfood. And of course, greens, any kind of leafy greens. The dark ones are better. The kales, the spinach, the dark leafy vegetables, arugula. And you can put those in salads or you can just eat them plain. I like them in soups as well. Bok choy is another good one too. Now, berries. I did mention berries. That's on the top 5 superfoods with most people. And the berries that are the best are the blueberries, the raspberries, the strawberries, those particular kinds of berries. And then other people have started to add eggs. Now, eggs have gotten a bad rap. They say, oh, the cholesterol, just eat the whites. A lot of people saying, no, they're pulling eggs out of that bad rap. And they're saying you should have eggs at least 3 or 4 times a day. Not a day, 3 or 4 times a week. And we've been eating eggs a lot more than we used to. I love all kinds of eggs. I love hard-boiled eggs. I love scrambled. I love fried, soft-boiled. And I like the ones that you dip in the with the little toast fingers. I used to feed the kids those. And what's that other egg where you take the yolk out and mix it with the mayonnaise? Ah, I forget that one. I'll remember that one. So those are some pretty good top foods. Beans and legumes, people will add on to that. And of course, olive oil. Olive oil is one of your good fats along with avocados. Now then, as I read further, people mentioned green tea, dark chocolate, tomatoes, sweet potatoes, and some fruits like apples and pears. Now you're starting to get a little bit into your carbs there, but they're so good for energy and for aging adults up there in your super years. Now some other fun ones. Red cabbage is good. Garlic is good. Some people have mentioned lean beef. Now we don't eat too much beef. Lucy loves beef. I don't eat it much, but I wouldn't necessarily put it in our diet. We eat mostly chicken or shrimp or shellfish or some kind of fish. But sometimes they mention the lean red beef, mainly for energy as well. So let's see, what else? Plant-based foods. Now, I won't get too much in the different nutrients of all these foods because you probably know that yourself. You know you need protein. Protein. The older we get, the more protein we need. And you know a lot of these foods have the protein in them. And I make sure that I start off with the collagen and get my 20 to 25 grams right there in my coffee. Now, nutritionally dense foods, you have your fats, your minerals, and your fibers. And a lot of these things are antioxidants. You have vitamins in them. Now, that doesn't mean that's all you have to eat. You can still have your pizza. I can still have, oh, me too, love my pizza. We can still have our tacos. We can still have a little bit of pasta here and there because I have discovered that you need some of those carbs for energy. Yes, carbohydrates, bad word, but we do need them for energy. My Moosey just came in from the outside. He's been out watching the birds, but see, it's almost noontime and he's getting warm. So that's what happens here. Our weather's going up. But I have my 2 air conditioners attached and we're doing okay. Now let's get to all these foods that I have out here. And I do want to probably put this back in the freezer because I'm not quite ready to defrost my salmon. But I've showed you my wonderful healthy foods, my collagen, look at my collection of wild caught tuna. Lately, I've been making a lot of canned tuna with in the way of just salads with in some nice big lettuce wraps with and I always like to put onions and a little bit of mayo and various things in with my celery and with my tuna. And especially if we have a lunch, which we don't normally, but it's also good in the summertime. So I picked up, these were on sale, the Starkist tuna, wild caught, and really makes up enough for 2 people to have a nice big tuna salad along with other things as well. Now, I'm going to talk about sardines, and a lot of you are going to say, "Oh, Nanny," but have you ever tried a sardine? Honestly, they're so good. I my mother, of course, started me on so many of these foods. So I learned as a young person how to enjoy some of these unusual things. And you know what? It turned out that many of these things that I always loved, these what I call my crazy breakfast foods, are good for me. Eating broccoli in the morning and sardines and herring, it's pretty good for me. So you can get sardines just regular. You can get them in oil, some in what a Louisiana red sauce. I had those the other day and they were kind of spicy and delicious. I used to always get the sardines in regular tomato sauce, but they didn't have them this time. These are oil packed, so lightly smoked. I like the smoke taste. And as you know, I love my smoked salmon, and I think I brought one of those out. I always have some smoked salmon in my refrigerator, almost always, because I love those smoked salmon with the tomatoes and the onions and my cream cheese. Now, originally we used to have them on bagels. Normally, if you were out, you would get them on bagels. I like these. If I'm being very good, I'll put them on a toasted piece of rye bread or rye crisp or something that might be a little better. But the best place is to have it on a bagel. You can even find some low-fat bagels around too, some keto bagels. So smoked salmon is a good food to have. So these are foods that you should add to your diets if you are not using them. Now, I know a lot of you are probably eating your broccoli, your green beans, your kale, your spinach. You can put it in soups. You can have it anywhere. But make sure you get these foods at least 3 or 4 times a week. That's basically what they advise for super agers. Oh, now, how about your fermented foods? I happen to love sauerkraut. I've shown you some of the meals that I use the sauerkraut in. Now, kimchi is another thing, but sauerkraut you can mix with apples, and I did that when I served my turkey sausages, my, I always want to say Kamala, my Kabbalah. I think that's what it is. And we'll have that with sausages and have the sauerkraut mixed with apples. It's a very German thing, and it's delicious. Or just sauerkraut alone. Sometimes I can eat it right out of the can. So, here's my cottage cheese. I'll have this several times a week in the morning if I don't want to cook eggs or something else. I'll have it along with an avocado. And if I do that, I will put the blueberries or the raspberries or some sort of berries in there. Now, you can put honey and nuts and all these things in that. I forgot to bring out my yogurt, but I have Greek yogurt too that I like. Many of the time I'll reach for the cottage cheese before the yogurt. But the yogurt you can use for your smoothies. You can use it in, put your berries, your spinach, whatever in there. But it's good just to have alone. And by the way, at nighttime, when Moosey wants an ice cream cone or something sweet, as a diabetic, I don't want to sit there and watch him eat that because I'll probably like some of that too. Yogurt is always a nice dessert at night, or some berries. Now, we're going to talk about energy. Just remember, folks, I'm not telling you these things are solely things you can eat alone. By the way, we eat a lot of shrimp meals as well. Sometimes I'll put it in sauces, bisque, lobster bisque or shrimp bisque or whatever, and I'll serve it on pasta. We still will have our pasta. We still will have a rice. I go easy on the rice, but we have all sorts of things. We'll have a little pizza. We'll have bread. I love my onion soups, as you know, and we'll have that with, cheeses too. Cheese. Cheese is great as well. We do eat a lot of cheese, and I love my mozzarella in my onion soup and many other dishes. In fact, Colleen showed me, she's growing tomatoes too, and she just last night made a caprese salad with cut up tomatoes from her garden with chunks of mozzarella, basil from her garden. And what else does she put in there? Some pepper. She put something else in with them. The basil, the tomatoes, and the chunks of mozzarella. Oh, it looked delicious. I'm going to make that tonight with some of my tomatoes. So, as I said, I am lower on energy than I used to be. And I think it's probably just my age. Maybe I'm not getting enough walking in, but the walking is beginning to tire me, longer walks. So maybe all of these things, maybe I need more of that. I do realize that I must rest in between the things that I do. And I do a lot around here, I know. I garden, I basically try and have the grandkids do as much of as they can around the house. But I'm still putzing around. I still do the cooking. I still help Moosey. I still lift wheelchairs in and out of the car. I still drive, take him to appointments, and we still do our drives to visit kids. As a matter of fact, we're going to a family luncheon on Wednesday when one of my granddaughter Bridget's daughters is graduating from grammar school and ready to go to high school. So we're looking forward to that. And you know, as seniors, it's so good to have something to look forward to. If it's not family visits, maybe it's a drive to the beach or an outing to get some yogurt or just a car picnic. Try and plan something, a visit with a friend, go out to lunch, or have a friend in and have lunch in your own garden or your own patio. I find that that keeps me going. It really does. And sleep. My sleep is much, much better since I started taking my probiotics and my magnesium citrate. And I'm going to show you that now. It's right over here. You know, when we had our Mother's Day breakfast with our three daughters, well, I did with the three daughters, my daughter Debbie said, "Mom, you're not on a probiotic?" And she right away said, "I'm ordering you some of these." This is what I take, and I do give it to Moosey as well. Even though it's a probiotic for women, I do have to probably find one for men. But this is one that right now we're both taking, and I have one every day, and it helps. She takes it for general health. She's still a working woman, a very busy woman, but also for regularity. She also suffered from constipation, but no more. She says this is wonderful. Now I also have been taking the magnesium citrate. Now the magnesium citrate is the one for irregularity. So if you're constipated, they're gummies and they're 200 milligrams. Sometimes I'll take one in the morning, one at night if I need to. Otherwise, one in the morning when I take my probiotic and my collagen. And I take a few other things too. I might add, by the way, some vitamin C, although I do get that in some of my foods and probably my multivitamin. I do take a fish oil, 1 or 2 pills. Vitamin C and B12 are 2 more vitamins I'm going to look into to make sure that I'm getting enough of that, because I've read about that as we age, we need more of that too. Okay, in my list of foods down this end are the ones that are these foods, if you need them in a pinch, or you're starting to feel that fatigue set in, or you do need an energy boost at some point in the day. These are recommended down this end, and I'll show you that you mix a carb with another fruit, perhaps, that you mix a carb with something that's good for you, something maybe that has protein in it or something. And one of those things that I always had, I love to dip apple slices, and I love the green apples, by the way, in peanut butter. Now, a little bit of peanut butter is good for you, and it's a pickup. If you need a good pick-me-up, this is good. I also, from the time I was having children, I remember when I was having a baby every year, year and a half in the beginning, which was just what we wanted to do, and have our large family. Always wanted that large family, and God did bless us with one. And I would always take in the afternoon when the little kids would be running around, weren't napping, and little toddlers or whatever, and I was trying to stay awake if I was tired. I would have a good pick-me-up, Ritz crackers with peanut butter. That was one of my snacks, and it always worked. So once again, you have a little bit of carb here, and you have it with your peanut butter, and it's a good pick-me-up. Now, a banana also is supposed to be a pick-me-up with a little bit of peanut butter once again. Wonderful pick-me-ups, although you got to watch the sugar, but in the fruit, in orange juice is not good for diabetic, but slices of an orange is okay. Now, I think this one is a giant lemon, but I'm talking oranges. Margie has orange trees, and Aiden brings down oranges whenever he comes. And we love the orange slices, and they're good pick-me-ups. Another good pick-me-up is a sweet potato. And you can do these a lot of ways. I like to do it sometimes in the microwave, and we'll put, maybe some cheese in there or some sour cream or whatever. But another way that I've recently seen is you split it in half and you put some oils or honey or some sort of flavored something, and you bake it on with some olive oil and something, I don't know whether it was some nuts or some sort of flavored herbs on the bottom, and you had a baked sweet potato that you could dig into a half of it, and that was good. Of course, you always have your healthy fats, like a half an avocado. So these are your pickups. Even little things like a pack of cheeses. Cheese is also, string cheese or pieces of cheese are good. And a little pack of cheeses, don't eat the whole pack, but they're carbs, but they're not that bad. And this will give you a little pickup. So there you go. Foods are important, and I never really thought about foods for years and years and years of my life, mainly because I had the energy to take care of children, to do other things, to teach, to run around, and I never had troubles with energy. I had energy galore. And I ate whatever I wanted, believe it or not. Never thought about what was good for me, what wasn't. But evidently, what I craved happened to be some of the better things. The sardines, the salmon, the shrimp, the avocados, all some of these things. Not everything. I also craved my pasta, a little bit of pizza. For a while there, I did love sweets, but as time went on, I became a savory girl. So now, as a super ager, I do have to think very carefully about what I eat and drink, because like everything else, I have to think about drinking water. I have to think about getting my rest. I have to think and make sure I get my exercise. This now, taking care of myself and living, is something that I'm thinking about all the time. And for years and years back in the day, I just did it. I just lived my life and didn't think about all of the things that I needed to keep me going. God was good, I was healthy, and I made it through. So my friends, I hope this wasn't overwhelming. I think a lot of you know all these things. Just think about some of those superfoods. I didn't get into the blue zones, which I was going to talk about, but I think this is getting a little long. And maybe in the next video, the blue zones are 5 areas in our world that that pertain to longevity. They've done studies on these areas, 5 particular areas, where people have lived the longest, mostly over 100 years, and they've lived with these people to find out what they're eating, what they're doing for exercise, and how they're living their lives. And it's fascinating. I did buy the book, I read the book, and one of those areas is in Loma Linda, California, believe it or not. There's a certain group of people who belong to, I think, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, who have a diet that is extremely healthy, and the people within that sect in Loma Linda seem to live very, very long lives. And some of the others we'll talk about too, but I'm going to talk about in one of our future videos. Someone else wanted to know if I would do another video on some of the products that I use. Now, I've talked so much about them. They're not fancy products. They're things that people have used forever and ever. And I do have extremely dry skin, and I will talk about some of the products I use on my face and the rest of my body. It's not a big variety of them, and you probably all know, but for those of you who are not familiar with that, I'll talk about that. And at the same time, I will show you some of the new makeup things that I've ordered for my face. And what else have I gotten lately that I haven't shown you? Well, I'll think about that. If you're already living a very super good life as a super ager, tell me about it. Tell me what you're eating that you think is helping you with your energy and your beating fatigue. And I'd love to hear about it. Are they any of the foods that I've mentioned? I know I've probably skipped some, but every article that I read or every study that I read basically included most of the same foods. Some of them added others that you might be surprised at. In fact, the debate about eggs has definitely changed. You know, the idea was, oh, you can only eat egg whites. Well, that's not the case now. Evidently, the yolk is a good thing to eat too. So, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my robe. When I was reading so much about superfoods and super agers like us, I realized that Moosey and I had those robes, and I decided to let me dig that out. It'd be a fun thing to show again. So in my me time, by the way, I never did get around to my nails. I actually did take the polish off, and I put cuticle softeners, and I put some of that nail strengthener on, and I decided to stay off the polish for a couple of days just to do it. So I still have that funny nail that it has a little bruise underneath it. I don't know what that's all about. And my poor little flipper finger, I have to wear braces at night. It doesn't seem to be helping straightening it out, but right now, if that's all that's bothering me right now, besides my lack of energy, I'll take it. Thanks so much for being here with us, my friends. I love your comments, and I love the fact that you're enjoying all our videos. For those of you who haven't subscribed yet, come on, join our family. We'd love to have you here. So until our next video, bye for now. Love you all, and God bless us all.